video is going to be your introduction to Pilates. We'll go over 5 basic principles, some foundations, and some warm-up exercises to get you started. So right away, starting with 5 basic principles, the first one I'm going to talk about is breathing. So breathing is super important in Pilates because we use our breath to connect to our core to help us stabilize through movement. So in Pilates, we have an in-breath through the nose and then an exhale through pursed lips like you're blowing through a straw. So it'll sound like this. Now if you try that, take your in-breath through your nose, try to expand your rib cage out to the front, side, and back. So you have a really 3-dimensional inhale. And then your exhale all the way to the end, really exert that breath. And right at the very end, you should start to feel a little contraction into your abdominal, just from the breathing. So a nice big inhale into the side, back of your rib cage. Good, and then exhale right to the very end. Find that little tightening of your core. Great, a couple more breaths like that. As you go through this, I want you to be really mindful of where you feel that core connection. That's your deep core, that's transversus. So that's the one that's going to be really important for keeping your posture nice and safe and secure. Holds you still, okay? Next basic principle I'm going to talk about is pelvic placement. We're going to go ahead and lay down on your back. You can have your knees bent with your feet flat, hands down. If you like, you can put a little pad or a towel rolled up underneath your head, just to get your head into good alignment while you're laying down. Here, pelvic placement, we're going to talk about 2 positions of the pelvis that we have in Pilates. So we have a neutral pelvis and we have an imprinted pelvis. Neutral pelvis is when 2 hip bones and pubic bone are parallel to the ceiling when you're laying on your back. You may have a little space underneath your lower back. That's your natural lumbar lordosis, natural curve of your lower back. That's okay. You may not have it as well. It depends on your body type or body shape. So a little trick I like to do to make sure that I'm in a neutral pelvis is to put the heels of my hands on my hip bones and then my fingertips on my pubic bone. And that little triangle of my hands, if it's parallel to the ceiling, I know that I'm in neutral. If my fingertips are below the heel of my hands, then I'm anteriorly tipped, which means that I'm arching in my lower back, and this is not a good position for my pelvis. If I bring my fingertips above where the heel of my hand is, then I'm in a posterior tilt, and this is an imprinted position in Pilates. Imprint position is okay. To find an imprint, we're going to exhale and draw the hip bones up towards the rib cage, keeping the glutes and hamstrings nice and soft, so it's all abs lifting the pelvis up, and then releasing back to neutral. So we have imprint, which is a little tuck, tail between the legs, and then open down to the neutral. That imprint position, we're going to start by using an open kinetic chains to keep a little bit more strength through the core and openness through the lower back. If during any exercise you're doing in Pilates, you start to feel your lower back start to grip, try an imprinted position. Get a little bit more ab engagement and some length in through your lumbar spine and see if that helps. And next basic principle we're going to talk about is rib cage. So if you reach your hands up towards the ceiling in your laying down position, and then let your hands go all the way back behind your head and touch the floor. Notice how my ribs kind of pop up and flare open in the front, and there's now a space underneath my upper back on the floor. This is not a good position for the rib cage because it's starting to change the shape of my spine, which I don't want. I want to try and maintain a neutral position. So I'll reach my hands up as far as I can keep my abs connected and my rib cage down and quiet. That's about my max range right there, and then float them back up. Okay, so rib cage neutral, not flaring open in the front and not depressing back behind me this way. Keeping my abs nice and engaged, moving my arms without letting anything else move. So it's all about that isolation and control. The next principle we're going to talk about is shoulder blades or scapula. If you reach your hands up towards the ceiling, and you imagine that you're holding a little cardboard box, reach that box up towards the ceiling. There we have scapular protraction. So it's my shoulder blades on my back spreading away from each other, going around my rib cage. And then if I pull that box towards my face without bending my elbows, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades back together behind me, pulling them in towards my spine. That's retraction. So we have these 2 positions, protraction and retraction. You also have elevation, which is when you slide those shoulders up towards your ears, your shoulder blades go up on your rib cage. And then depression, which is when you slide those shoulders down and away from you. Shoulder blades go down your rib cage in the back. We also have upward rotation, which is when that bottom point of the shoulder blade comes up, and we have downward rotation the other way. Somewhere in between all of those spaces, that's your neutral. The easiest way to kind of find neutral is do a couple shoulder shrugs, and then find a place in the middle, and then do a couple protraction, retraction, and then settle into a place in the middle. I like to think arm bone plugging back down into the socket, and trying to just keep yourself there. When you're doing these protraction, retraction, imagine that little cardboard box and don't squish it as you reach up towards the ceiling, and try not to let it go as you squeeze those shoulder blades together. So you're just maintaining that position, elbows stable, going up and down there. Good. The next basic principle we're going to talk about is the head. So the skull on the cervical spine. I have this little pad behind me. If you notice when I take this pad away, what happens? My ribcage starts to flare up in space. I have a pretty long kyphosis of my upper back, so it's tipping my ribcage open here. And because my natural posture when I'm standing is a little bit head forward, as soon as I take my head down to a flat position, I'm putting my cervical into extension right now, which I don't want. I want to be able to maintain a nice neutral thoracic spine ribcage. So what I'm going to do to keep that position is just put a little pad underneath my head. Now I can easily take tension off the front of my neck here, just by lifting up, and help myself keep my rib cage down and my abs nice and engaged. So a little pad or a towel, or you can even roll up the bottom of your mat there to keep that placement. We can also do some little head nods here. This head nod you'll see in a few ab exercises where we nod the chin first before we start to roll up. This head nod is really important to make sure that you keep the back of your skull against the floor behind you. So your head nod is not a head lift, because you're going to just put tension in the front of your neck here. So to avoid neck tension, you just open up the back of your neck, slide your skull on the floor underneath you, and nod your chin down. Keep a little space there, just so you're not crunching too far. So just small little head nod. So with those basic principles in mind, I'll show you a couple of exercises that you can use for a warm-up. We've done a couple imprint and release. We've done some scapula isolations and some arm overhead raises for the abs. I'm going to show you an ab prep exercise. So an ab prep we can do by nodding the chin on an inhale, and then an exhale. As you roll up, you float the hands in line with the shoulders. Find that nice tight ab engagement. Inhale at the top, and then exhale as you roll all the way back down. So inhale, nod the chin. Exhale as you roll yourself. Inhale at the top. Exhale, roll it all the way back down. Make sure that that chin nod happens with the back of the skull on the floor. Exhale, roll yourself up. Can you hold for an inhale? Expand into the side of your ribcage. And then exhale, roll down. Let's do one more time. Inhale, nod the chin. Exhale, roll yourself up. Now you're trying to press that ribcage down. Keep a nice neutral pelvis. Don't let your shoulders start to creep up towards your ears, reaching those fingers away, and then roll it down. Let's do one more. Inhale, nod the chin. Exhale, roll yourself up. Reach those fingers. Inhale, and then exhale, roll it down. One more exercise that I'm going to show you for a warm-up here is a breaststroke prep. So a breaststroke prep happens laying on your front. You have your hands by your shoulders, a little bit wide so that you don't get crunched up in here, feet right together. Elbows stay down on the mat or floor underneath you. And my forehead flat on the mat here to start. You inhale as you imagine pushing a little marble away with your nose. So it's a tiny little extension, reaching the crown of your head out towards the wall in front of you. And then a little tiny push of the hands as we come up just into thoracic extension. So the bottom of my rib cage is still connected to the ground. And then I reach away nice and long as I roll back down. In this position, if we think back to that basic principle of finding a neutral pelvis, when laying on your front, an easy way to make sure that you're in a neutral pelvis is, can you feel your hip bones and pubic bone on the mat underneath? If your pubic bone starts to lift off, you're going into an anterior tilt. There's space here, gripping in the hip flexors, gripping in the lower back. If your hip bones are starting to lift off, you're tucking under, bracing through your glutes, that or you're coming up too high and going into lumbar extension, which we also don't want. So breaststroke prep, feet right together. Inhale, press away from the nose, reach as you lift up, just into thoracic extension. Inhale at the top if you want, and then exhale to roll all the way down. So I like doing that one into 4 breath to warm up. Inhale, lengthen away. Exhale, reach shoulders back and open. Inhale, stay, and then exhale, roll down. Another exercise that I'll show you. Here, you can use your head pad on the ground or hand underneath your head. This is side lying. This is a spinal rotation. I have my knees stacked right up on top of each other. I have one hand on the ground underneath me. I inhale as I reach up towards the ceiling. I find a neutral position for my shoulder blade. And then I exhale and I twist from the waist to open up out to the side. Inhale up towards the ceiling and then exhale down. Now before I start, I'm lifting my bottom waist up off the mat so I have a nice ab engagement. My rib cage isn't flaring forward, I have it nice and contained in a neutral. My knees are stacked right together so that my pelvis can stay neutral and I'm not starting to shear this way. So squeeze those inner thighs, get those knees connected. Lift up from the abs, inhale up towards the ceiling and then twist from the waist. Get some obliques involved as you open up to the side. Make sure that you don't let your hand go too far. It's not about the shoulder opening, it's about the abs and then come all the way back down. So this is a nice opening exercise to start with getting your spine moving. This is a great exercise to do before any workout. Get some arms, legs, and abs involved. Get some movement through your spine and down. So it's an inhale on the way up, exhale as you twist. Inhale on the way up, and then exhale down. I like to do a few of those, maybe 6 to 10 on each side. One more exercise that I'll show you to get you started here is a cat stretch exercise. So cat stretch happens on hands and knees. If this position is not good for your wrists, you can roll up the edge of your mat and place the heel of your hand on the edge and the fingers there to get you out of wrist extension a little bit. Or you can simply go up onto fists here. Make sure that wrist is right underneath shoulder and then knees are right underneath hips here. Your neutral spine, rib cage connected, pelvis and neutral. Stabilize those gaps. So I'm pushing you to the mat just a touch so that I can feel the tension around my shoulder girdle. I'm gonna exhale as I curl from my tailbone all the way up to my head and skull. I let the back of my neck go. I hold it there for an inhale, and then I exhale and I unravel just to neutral, so not going into extension quite yet. Inhale, stay. Exhale, tuck from the tail, roll yourself up into full flexion of the spine. Inhale, stay, and then exhale, unravel from tail to head. Try the reverse. Inhale, stay, nod the chin first. Go from head into full flexion all the way to tail. Inhale, stay, and then unravel. See if you can go head just to neutral, upper spine, lower back, and then sit bones wide. Then you can try from the center. Inhale, stay, exhale from the belly button, and everything unfolds on top of that. Inhale, stay, and then exhale, unravel from the belly button, everything unfolds from there. Now you'll notice when I go into my full flexion, right now I'm in a neutral scap, so I'm pretty connected through my upper back. When I go into full flexion, my scaps are coming, my shoulder blades are coming apart and sliding forward on my ribcage. So I'm going into that protracted position. And you have that box and you reached it away. That's the position that you're finding here, in that full curve of the spine. You can also go into a little bit of extension here, but just make sure that your abs stay nice and engaged so you're not dumping into your lower back and finding too much tip in the pelvis. So I'm in extension mostly of my upper spine. I do have a little curve in the lower back here. Collarbone open nice and wide, shoulders back and away from my ears before I pull back into flexion. And you can settle into neutral here and shake out those wrists. So those are some basics and foundations that you'll need, and a nice little warm up there to get you started with Pilates going forward. There'll be some ab exercises, glute exercises, legs, things like that coming up soon. If you want to go and backtrack to this video to give yourself a little warm up before you jump into those, that would be a great idea. These are also some good ways to just get moving midday if you're working from home a lot or sitting at a desk. These few exercises are really good to just have a little break, do some movement of the scaps, do some movement of the pelvis, find a cat stretch position and go through articulation of the spine. But these are some basic principles of Pilates and a great way to start your warm-up. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.